Okay, hello. Happy Monday, guys. How are you? Thank you for coming on tonight. We're going to be talking about some good stuff. First of all, I just turned on my microphone. I do see my signal. It's flaring green, so that means it's a good signal. But if you guys can put it in the comments below, if audio is good, if video is good, if it's not fuzzy quality, I actually can't see on StreamYard if my video is fuzzy. So if you can go ahead and say the word, that'd be great. And you look stunning and sound great. Well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I showered today. No. Yeah, I'm wearing my Star Wars Rebel shirt because I feel like I'm probably gonna, well, I at least had a controversial thumbnail on a picture, a rather flattering image of Kathleen Kennedy, I might say. It's actually kind of hard to find good pictures of people, so I try to find the best one. And then also next to her picture saying she is not the problem of Star Wars. She's a problem in Star Wars or in the world of Star Wars making, but she's not the problem. And so it's Star Wars celebration this week, so I'm going to use the opportunity to talk about the state of Star Wars and have a few rants. Maybe have my rant on what I want to say about the constant public scrutiny of Kathleen Kennedy by the fandom. And then if I have time and after, engaging with you, maybe we can have fun and go over some predictions on the writing choices of the upcoming Kenobi show. So let's go ahead and welcome the chat, and then we will get into the topic. And as per usual, it's an impromptu stream, but I think all my streams as of late, like in the last few months, have been impromptu. So it's gonna be fun. So we did have Go Team Ghost Planet. I think even before Gigawatt, welcome Go Team Ghost Planet. We did have my wonderful. We had a couple good comments actually from my handsome professor, and then also Dr. Y had something too. So I guess StreamYard is not showing it. Maybe it's on YouTube. I'm not sure. Gigawatt says, but if she is gone, it will restore balance to the Force, right? Right. That's what people think, but that's not true. so we'll talk about it. So yeah, just to say I'm kind of rebelling against the fandom menace, because I'm not going to be talking about Kathleen Kennedy in a negative way. I think actually, and I actually had this highlighted or pinned on the top of the chat here that Kathleen Kennedy is a rather controversial figure, unfortunately. So I think the propensity is to say nasty things about her. I've seen it floating around on the internet, and I just think that is just I would say uncalled for, and I would say at the very least unnecessary. So anything, even if it is a negative thing regarding Kathleen Kennedy, whether it's her work or her history or whatever, her professional history, even if it's a negative thing, I would just say, maintain the respect. People can say a negative thing without being disrespectful. But let's go ahead and welcome more people. We've got Skipper Kenner, welcome. And I do see that you are going to come back. So welcome from the past into the future, however that works. So there we have it. And we've got Big Al. Have a great show, Santa Favor. Thank you. Thank you. And it is Al's birthday week, guys, today, or this week. Is it Thursday? Is it Thursday, Big Al? If it is Thursday, I think, is it Thursday that the Kenobi series is premiering, or is that Friday? I can't remember. So, we've got Ace. This and a cup of tea is exactly what I needed to center myself. Well, that's good. I'm glad I could help with that. Big Al says, once you start down the dark path forever, it will dominate your destiny. And that's not Yoda's voice at all. Final Fantasy fan 12 says hello as well. Okay, so it is Al's birthday Thursday, and then it is so for a day late birthday present, because our good friend of Perpetual Sunshine, he is going to watch the Kenobi series, and we love him. We love him even for his choices. Obi-Wan Kenobi is airing Friday. Oh, and also Stranger Things. So you have a loaded week. That's fantastic. I mean, good good on you for having all of that on your birthday week. So, but I will say that, well, I'm not supporting it. So I don't even know why I'm announcing it, but sorry, I got something in my eye. It is Star Wars Celebration, and the panels are beginning Thursday. So Thursday, happy birthday, Al! I hope you have a terrific birthday, and I'll definitely talk to you on the chat tomorrow. Dr. White says, I forgot Big Al shares his birthday with John Wayne and James Arness. I should probably know the last name that you mentioned, but I know John Wayne, so there's that. So I think if everything is looking good, I'll just go ahead and see. Yeah, everything. Yeah, it looks like my video is good on YouTube too. Oh, I hear myself. Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Well, I didn't prepare Big Al, but since you are a friend, I should probably sing happy birthday to you too. So I haven't warmed up. We'll just go ahead and do that, and then we'll talk about Kathleen Kennedy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Big Al. Happy birthday to you for Thursday. All right. In Gunsmoke. Thank you, Dr. Y. You would definitely know stuff about that. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Abysmal Dragon Slayer. Nice to have you on board. Welcome to the chat. So Kathleen Kennedy. People talk about Kathleen Kennedy like she is the only problem of Star Wars. So my controversial title, because I want views, and I'm gonna have a truth bomb on Ahsoka Tano. I'm gonna show a video this Thursday. And it's actually it's what I've said on a previous stream, just kind of edited with some little notes on the screen and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not holding back with my Ahsoka Tano video, and I'm dropping it on Thursday, and we'll talk about that why if I remember. But we'll talk about Ahsoka Tano Thursday, but we'll talk about Kathleen Kennedy tonight. So so she's not the problem of Star Wars. She is a major problem. But I would say she's not even the biggest problem. She's very far. She's many degrees away from being even the biggest problem of Star Wars. Yes, she has a position, a very powerful position as president of Lucasfilm. Yes, she's really closely related to figures like the former CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, now Bob Chapek. She was friends with George Lucas at one time. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if the relationship is strained. So she has a lot of very powerful connections. She's probably been in meetings or at least in conference calls with the likes of Kevin Feige over at Marvel. So yeah, she has a major position. She's in a very powerful position, and yes, she has made, she's mismanaged. She's made decisions and has a history of mismanaging, hiring people and firing people. We all know this. But I am so tired. I'm so tired of seeing, YouTubers that I do like, but them and their listeners say, if Kathleen Kennedy were gone, I would come back to Star Wars. Or if she's fired, that's when I'll have hope for Star Wars. And it's still the same thing. Like people still, I'm gonna get real with y'all. People still talk about Rey Skywalker. Like people still make videos about Rey Skywalker. And yeah, I'm using Skywalker as the name. I'm not sure why. People say, why they'll make videos, and I don't watch those videos because one, they're kind of just outdated, and I'm gonna rub my eye because I think something is just caught in the corner of my eye. So excuse me for that. And then if it gets irritated, I'll probably get off camera for a little bit. But anyway, so people still today In the year 2022, 3 years, isn't it 3 years after episode 10? People still talk about The Last Jedi, or they'll still make videos about why I don't like the character Rey from the sequel trilogy, and people still harp and harangue on the sequel trilogy. Ladies and gentlemen, the sequel trilogy is old news. It is tragic news. That sequel trilogy should never have happened. I personally call it the sequel tragedy, but it's not the only sore spot in Star Wars, in the world of Star Wars, okay? The sequel trilogy is bad. It's a terrible thing of the Star Wars history, you know, the Star Wars universe, but it's not the only thing out there that is a sore spot for the world of Star Wars. It is very much a thing of the past. We need to actually talk about it like it is part of Star Wars history, like it's not recent news. And this, along with the language that I'm hearing about Kathleen Kennedy, she's not the only thing. The sequel trilogy is not the only thing. Star Wars is in heaps of trouble, at least from a creative perspective and from someone who views art objectively, whether it's good art or bad art. Star Wars is going downhill. It will continue to go downhill until we're talking ramifications, major uprooting, and I mean, dare I say the phrase draining the swamp takes place. And I can say this confidently because, well, talking about Kathleen Kennedy not being the only problem, it's because the problem is really deep-seated. It's a Disney problem. You know, people who complain about Kathleen Kennedy, they need to start complaining about Disney, especially for all the political nonsense and scandals that are happening, you know, that are made publicly. And even if you go on Disney Plus or see even on YouTube like a Disney show trailer, you know, a Disney movie trailer, it's nonsense. It's garbage. I just recently like saw, because I didn't even know it existed, and then I saw apparently there's this really bad looking, it's not even a reboot. I don't know what you call it. I'll just call it an abomination of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. I saw the trailer and I was like, oh my gosh, this looks horrible. This is nothing like the cartoon. The chipmunks are nothing like they were in the 90s cartoon, the cartoons that I grew up with. I grew up with Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, and it looks terrible. Is that Kathleen Kennedy? No. No, it's Disney. It's Disney. You know, with the political stuff and the things exposed, Disney has made it so clear. Bob Chapek has made it so clear what their agenda is. Now, we don't have to talk about the politics, and if you want to talk about the politics in the chat, just kind of go easy on the trigger words if you can. But she Disney, not Kathleen Kennedy. She's part of it, but it's Disney on the whole that is like, we've got this major narrative we want to push through to propagate. You know, we've got this propaganda. We're using this company, this name, all the resources to promote our propaganda. Kathleen Kennedy is part of it, but she's not all of it. And the Star Wars fandom, they need to see that. I'm so tired of people saying, well, if this, then this. If she's gone, then Disney Star Wars will be better. It's not true. Let's say she does go, whether she's removed, quietly removed, or whether she goes on her own terms, and that's the latter is probably more likely. Whether she, you know, once she is removed, or hypothetically, because who knows when she'll go, right? But let's just talk about the hypotheticals. Even if she is removed, even if she goes away, Disney is going to do either two things. They're going to A, replace her with a like-minded person, or B, listen to her choice of candidates for her position. And those candidates will think like her too. So when she's gone, she's only going to be replaced by the next controversial figure. Now, I want to make it really important to say this. Her relationship with the likes of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni is a good relationship. They have a good relationship. They do, Disney does push this kind of facade. I'm going to call it a facade of this like civil war, this tension between Kathleen Kennedy and Filoni and Favreau. Actually, I don't even think, no, I take that back. I don't even think Disney does it. I actually think YouTubers do it, whether actual grifters, people who want to make money on rumors, or people who are sincerely believing it. I think it's both. I think it's both grifters and people who truly believe there is a civil war going on. But I see articles time and time and time again when I'm looking at music for Star Wars, like looking at the composers. I see pictures of Kathleen Kennedy looking very neat and nice and friendly with Filoni and Favreau. Now people will say, no, that's publicity. That has to happen. It's like, no, like if it were such a problem of Kathleen Kennedy, if it was such a problem for Disney for Kathleen Kennedy to have this rivalry with Jon Favreau, they would try to cover it up. But and by covering up, they would counter what the YouTubers are talking about. Like, no, we don't have a civil war. This is not socially and economically beneficial for us. And actually, just to show you, I can't actually show you. I can't show you, but I did see on a video. I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about a story on Elon Musk. Apparently, Elon Musk is just making so many waves, and it's kind of fun to watch. It is really fun to watch. It's fun to see the establishment not crumble. They're not crumbling yet, but it's fun to see. It's fun to see a billionaire stick up for the everyday person, the everyman. Now people could say, but he did this, he's that. I don't follow the news, so if you want to contend with me on that, I'm probably not going to listen to you. But in any case, they were talking about Elon Musk, and he had a tweet. I forgot what the tweet was about. It was, oh, I know what it's about, but I'm not going to be political. But anyway, what I will say though, Jon Favreau responded, and he responded, contending with Musk on a political issue, and it's like, yeah, that kind of sounds like it's going the same waves as the likes of people like Kathleen Kennedy and the likes of Bob Iger, even though he's not involved anymore. So that's kind of what I wanted to say, is that people, yes, it's you can make the argument that she is a problem, and she has made very, very poor creative decisions and business decisions. You can say that, but I am so super tired of people harping, like clutching onto that only. It's like, Disney will that the whole company would actually have to go through major social, economic, down to the infrastructure. They would have to make some drastic changes, like a 180 for Star Wars to actually be what the fandom menace hopes. Now, I'm not really part of the fandom menace because I just don't follow Disney Star Wars. I'm actually more talking, people say, well, aren't you going to stop talking about Star Wars? Yeah, probably one day. But the more I think about it, is the more I talk more about how people are reacting to Star Wars. I'm not really talking about Star Wars itself. I might talk about the writing for good or for bad, but it's I won't talk about Disney Star Wars in the projects unless it's hearsay, or if I'm making writing predictions, or if I talk about the terrible writing. And by the way, the terrible writing of Star Wars happened probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years before Kathleen Kennedy even assumed the position of presidency at Lucasfilm. The Clone Wars. Now, I like a lot of it. I like a lot of the 2008 Clone Wars, but I did, just to make sure I was saying what I needed to say with my Ahsoka video, I did actually look at past episodes yesterday, I think it was, and the writing is bad, and it was all the way back to cartoons that were aired in 2008. So This is not just Kathleen Kennedy. The bad writing is going to continue. The motivations of creators, producers, directors, writers is going to continue with or without Kathleen Kennedy. It does not matter if she is involved or if she isn't involved. It actually is irrelevant. Sure, she's caused a lot of havoc with hiring and firing people, but at the end of it, you know, are we really going to fault only her for the sequel trilogy? No, we're going to fault people like J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson as well. And so, yeah. Oh, but they were hired or recruited by her. It's like, no, really. I mean, unless Ryan Johnson was like a no name, and maybe he was a no name. I'm not sure. Maybe even J.J. Abrams, unless had like there he had done nothing before, which is a common practice now, where you're seeing all these writers over these like TV shows that have no writing experience. You know, unless it's like that, maybe you can blame her solely for that. But no, I mean, there are other people to hold accountable. So that's just my rant there. We'll go through the comments, and then maybe that we'll engage in discussion. But yeah, Kathleen Kennedy is not the problem of Star Wars. She's a problem, but she's not even the biggest problem. She's not a she's a for publicity's sake, I would say she's a major problem, but removing her is not going to change anything. Not for the short term. So anyway. Alrighty. Let's see what the chat has to say. I like you know what? We can say as Final Fantasy has little gifs, you know, gift emojis, we can say for this week it's Big Al presents for your birthday. I don't know what made me think that. So greetings, Abysmal Dragon Slayer. That's a cool avatar. That's some good art. Kennedy is a big problem, but not the only problem. And I could have worded like that. I could have worded it that way in my title, but I kind of wanted more views. I kind of want, well, I don't want it, but I'd be interested in seeing if it's gonna be downvoted just for the title's sake. All right. Yeah, sure. I should say Ray Palpatine. Yeah. But again, it's kind of like, you know, Ray is old news now. Now we have, excuse me. Now we have all sorts of problematic characters, including Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, Ahsoka Tano, whatever Luke Skywalker's supposed to be. Come on, guys. Like, whoever saw Book of Boba Fett and the personality of Luke Skywalker, that's a Skywalker going to the sequel trilogy, okay? Or if not, he's acting like it. Jared is here with us. Kathleen Kennedy may not be the main problem, but she doesn't help anything. That's true. She does not help. That is for sure. And Final Fantasy fan makes an astute point there, and neither does everyone at Lucasfilm. I want to say everyone, but I would just say, you know, it's kind of like I do apologize for getting my you know, touching my eye. It's kind of like with, you know, companies like Blizzard and Activision who have just major scandals, you know, and things publicly exposed. Publicly exposed, that's kind of redundant to say. Exposed to the public. And yeah, I would say, I wouldn't say everyone at Lucasfilm, but I'm sure there are some not so favorable wheels turning. I feel like they're trying to rewrite history with KK saying she did a great job. Now, I would assume that they would have to say that. It's not, you know, the company with their affiliation with Lucasfilm, you know, Disney with Lucasfilm, they're never going to publicly cast a shadow over her reputation or her career. There's no way. And she's had a pretty long career too. You know, hasn't she been in the movie making stage like for 30 years or whatever? She's been in film for a while, you know. So Yeah, there's no way they're gonna say anything bad about her. Disney. Is that, like, supposed to be, punctuated? Disney is not going to retcon the sequel trilogy. No. You know what the proof is for that? The High Republic. Now people say, "Well, wait a second. How can the High Republic, how can that be connected to the sequel trilogy?" Well, I don't know, creatively speaking, because 'cause I'm not gonna read those stories. But the High Republic is affiliated with Kathleen Kennedy. And, not only that, but there are recent books published now under Star Wars, under the name Star Wars, or, I think it's under the Disney umbrella. I'm not sure what the publication is. But people are writing books for Disney Star Wars. They're writing books that help bandage the wounded sequel trilogy, like to help explain the rise of Skywalker much better. There are books being written as recent as this year for things like that. That's the proof. And then you've got things like Lego Star Wars, you know, where there are the sequel trilogy characters for the Lego Star Wars world. And then you've got recent Star Wars games that included Rey Palpatine. And so, as my dear prof is saying, and also Gigawatt is saying, all roads lead to the sequel trilogy, and people are not accepting that. And I think that's why Kathleen Kennedy and her position at Lucasfilm is the hill that a lot of people are dying on, because they don't want to accept that the sequel trilogy is there to stay. And some people are trying to, put it in a way where it's like, oh no, it's a different timeline, it's gonna be separate from the Filoniverse. And I'm gonna just be so bold to say Filoni will probably end up making the same kind of poor choices, at least creatively, as Kennedy would with her management, with hiring and firing. So there you go. Unfortunately, not I. Unfortunately, not I. Personally, don't even pay attention to anything in Disney Star Wars. Well, welcome to the community. I actually don't watch anything. I don't support anything with Disney Star Wars, but I do talk about it. But it still saddens me to hear how many people now see the Disney version as the real Star Wars. Yeah, I mean, like, if just like for kicks, just go to the original Star Wars trailer. I think the prof has the original. Was it the original theatrical cut with the bonus feature that was the original movie trailer? And it feels so different than anything we see now. It just feels so different. It still has the magnitude, it still has the scope, but it feels really different. And it feels wonderful, wonderfully different. Final Fantasy fan says, exactly. That's why they didn't want anything to do with the old expanded universe of the Star Wars. Actually, yeah, I think the prof said. I think I skipped that. Where did he say it? He said somewhere, "Long live the Disney." No, not Disney. Long live Star Wars EU. There it is. There it is. Long live the Star Wars EU. Yeah, I probably won't read all the EU like my prof. In fact, I'm actually I finished Dune for a little bit. I'll probably read Dune maybe a year or two down the road, but now I picked up the Asimov Foundation series for a second time. I think I didn't read the prequel book, which is set in order. I start with Foundation, and then I went up all the way to Foundation's Edge. So I haven't read the whole series, but I'm reading it again 10 years later, and I love it. Yeah, and there's a lot of things that probably George Lucas got from Foundation. Political intrigue, although I think Asimov did. Oh, you want political intrigue for science fiction that's not like viceroys and blockades and stuff, trade blockades or whatever. Read Asimov. It's conceptually very interesting. Politics going on with his Foundation book. But yeah, like the Emperor's planet, the central planet of the galaxy, Trantor or Trantor, however you pronounce it. It's all one metallic city, except for one huge domain of green land for the Emperor and the Emperor's palace, which you don't see in the book. You just kind of have to imagine it. It's all it's all city with metal, and I knew that too because I had read the books before. But what I had forgotten about was the citizens of Trantor. They don't see the sky. They choose not to see the sky. They would just rather just be under this. You can see the sky, like you can see you can go on these huge towers, you know, these elevator towers, and see the whole land as far as well, it's kind of bleak because it's like gray horizon with gray metal and stuff like that. You can't see any greenery or anything. Um, and then I think the rules are that of the city or the planet, they don't bring children until they're 5 because they'll have hysteria or hysterics of seeing an open sky. Um, but that's kind of like that could be a version of Coruscant, you know, where the whole planet is one city. So I'll read EU books related to Luke and Mara Jade, but I'm going back to Asimov for a little bit. I might even, if I feel like it, I might even get into the robot series as well. All right. Oh, we've got new people. We've got Craig Wagner, we've got Private Eye, and I think that's it. All right. So, oh, cool. Okay. I'll be posting a review this week of the Old Republic comics. Big Al Presents will talk about the audio drama soon too. Oh, cool. Awesome. Yay. And then the Star Wars episodes 1 through 6 plus the 2002 Clone Wars, that is Star Wars to me. Now, I think if I remember correctly, I think Disney Plus has I think those cartoons or that older animation. I'll try to watch those. I'll try to watch those. I just think of Powerpuff Girls when I see that animation style. It's not bad, but it's just not my favorite. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm very concerned for the KOTOR remake that Aspire is doing. Aspire, that Y just tripped me up. Yeah, I don't. Whew, goodness, sorry. Let me. I'm gonna probably scratch my eye, and I don't want to do that publicly. So let me just turn off the camera for just a second. Um, yeah, I gotta get something out of my eye. But yeah, I don't trust. Um, I don't trust anything. Oh wait, what was the great game company? What was the great developer that did the recent what project am I thinking of? It looked so much like Star Wars, and it felt like Star Wars. You guys might know what I'm talking about. I thought it was a recent theatrical, you know, trailer, with, man, I'm blanking on all the history right now, but it felt like Star Wars. Is it BioWare? There was one developer. You guys put it in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. But there was a cinematic trailer. It was like 3-minute trailer that just felt like Star Wars so well. I'll be on the camera just probably in about 5 minutes or so. Thanks for just looking at my R2D2 hat for a second. Let's be real. There has been just been terrible and bad writing in Star Wars from the Return of the Jedi onward. Well, I mean, I guess people can argue that they don't like the Ewoks, but I wouldn't say Return of the Jedi is bad. No, I'm talking, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm talking about, and if you guys want to watch the episodes that I talk about on my Ahsoka video that I'm posting Thursday, it's so and again, this is 2010, you know, 2009, 2010 writing before Disney took over Star Wars. Um, if I feel like it, I'll give an example. Um, well, okay, yeah, I'll just kind of say this real quick. So, so an example of bad writing, an example of just writers not revising and getting their writing professionally edited. I will say the example is a really good example is the Citadel mission with Ahsoka Tano when she disobeys Anakin and sneaks aboard, kind of a stowaway. She's kind of acts as a stowaway to get to join them on their mission. And he said, Anakin Skywalker said, "You can't go." And she goes to Plo Koon, the Jedi, the older Jedi master, and kind of complains and he doesn't say anything. Like he's just listening to her and just acknowledging her, growing pains, whatever the case is. So he doesn't say anything. But in the next scene over, Ahsoka says, Anakin rebukes her, says, you weren't supposed to come here, you were not supposed to join us on this mission. And she says, so listen carefully to these words. She says, I received direct orders to join the mission. I'm going to say that again. I received direct orders to join the mission. And Anakin replies, by who? Whose orders? And then she lies and says, Master Plo Koon. He directly ordered me to join the mission. So again, just listen to that. So I know that I'm saying this correctly. I received direct orders to join you in this mission. And then Anakin says, well, you should have followed my orders not to come. And then this is 20 seconds later. This is 20 seconds after she says, I received direct orders. She says, Master, if there's one thing that I've learned from you, is that following orders is not always the thing to solve the problem. I'm like, I know you were lying, girl, but you just said you received direct orders from Plo Koon. And then 20 seconds later, you say following orders is not always the best thing to solve the problem. It's like you just contradicted yourself 20 seconds later in the film. That kind of writing is prevalent, all the way back in, 2008, 2009. So anyway, yeah. So one second, I gotta get something here. It's getting a little stuffy, so I'm gonna put my hair back in a ponytail. I think you can hear that, right? Does it sound like ASMR? And then actually, I'll put. I think my eye feels a little bit better, but yeah, it's 60 outside. It's been a couple hot days, but I feel like I should be cold, but I am not. So, yeah, I should be fine now. So anyway, yeah, there's my ponytail. Let's continue with the chat. Private Eye has a song for us. This reminds me of an old villain song. From your armies, dream your dreams, make your plan and plot your schemes, send your fighters one and all, then in battle watch them fall. Now, who sang that? Which villain sang that? That sounds good. All right. Craig Barnum says, sometimes it's lots of bad, sometimes it's a little. But the franchise has long been far from perfect in my humble opinion. I still love it, warts and all. I mean, I'm not going to say the original trilogy is flawless. I mean, there are some writing flaws, but at least there's the glue that holds it together. You know what I'm talking about when I say glue. Like there's we can see the glue hold the Clone Wars animation for a little bit. Season 7, that didn't work. The glue was seasons 1 through 6, kind of like with episodes 1 through 6. Not perfect writing, a lot of flaws, but there were a lot of things holding it together. But the season 7, and then of course the sequel trilogy, episodes 7 through 9. There was no glue holding the sequel trilogy. There's no glue holding season 7 to the previous 6 seasons of Star Wars Clone Wars animated series, but But the thing is, no one cares anymore. Like, no one cares. It's one thing to write badly and try to do your best. It's a whole other thing entirely where people had become quite incompetent to produce bad art. Like, I can't understand how some things just are greenlit. And I think it's because people don't care. I really do think that, studio owners and producers and writers, they just don't care about the inconsistencies they create. Which would, for me as a perfectionist, I'm not a perfectionist, but I do want my art to be really good. That would just drive me up the wall. The struggle of Dave Filoni and the EU fans is a tale as old as the problems of Disney Star Wars. Yeah, like, I guess there you've heard him say stuff like, I'm a fan of the EU," and he probably has knowledge of the EU, but the professor has said, quite a bit where, Dave Filoni will take an EU concept or even an EU story. Allegiance, Prof, what did Allegiance what did Dave Filoni Oh, The Bad Batch, I think. I think The Bad Batch was pretty much taken from the idea of the Allegiance, the story. I can't remember the author's name, sorry. But the recent book study that he and Al did. Oh, man. Ah, I don't know what's catching my eye. Ooh. All right. Bandage the wounds is not something I would call the work they do. A master class in disaster is more like it. A master class in disaster. Yeah, that kind of sounds like any academic project. Oh, well, thank you. I actually the comments jumped. Um, all right, the comments jumped quite far. I have to scroll all the way back up, or not all the way back up, but there are definitely some parts of the EU that aren't amazing, but I'd still take the worst of the EU over the best of Disney. Star Wars was a huge part of my life growing up, and the EU was what fueled my love of the setting after seeing the original movies. Well, Abysmal Dragon Slayer, are you aware of Professor Geek? Because I haven't seen you before, so maybe you are a listener of Professor Geek. But Professor Geek, my beau, he does book studies on the EU, and he just finished Allegiance, and I forgot, Prof. What was the book you were thinking of doing next with Big Al, over on the Professor Geek channel? I thought it was Shatterpoint, but I couldn't remember. Craig says, I think Lucas got a lot from Dune as well. Jedi and Bene Gesserit seem to overlap a bit. I would say no. I would say they're well. The thing is, the Bene Gesserit aren't mystical. They're actually not. They're not magical. They don't use a mystical force. They just have esoteric knowledge for enhanced things like thinking and politics and manipulation. They're just actual political manipulators with kind of an air of the mystique. But the Jedi are good. Let's get that straight right now. The Jedi are good, or at least the right kind of Jedi. They are good. The Bene Gesserits, they are not good. They are an evil bunch. They are an evil, manipulative bunch. I mean, from what I understand of them, I don't like them. Maybe I'm biased, but they're not like they're not on the same moral tier as Jedi, or as a Jedi should be. Oh yeah, I mean that's a real big issue. What are the reasons Disney threw out the EU ideology or didn't want to pay the authors? That's a great that's a very an astute question. I think it could be both. I think they wanted to propagate their own narrative and messaging. But there have been cases where they are not paying authors their due or taking ideas from authors. But I think there were actually lawsuits. There was a famous one just a couple years back, but I can't remember the author's name. Yeah, don't work for Disney. Don't work for Disney. You are recommending that we skip the Children of the Jedi and Planet Twilight. They are so boring. Well, do you like the Silmarillion? Because if you think Silmarillion is boring, then we might differ on that. I did a review of them, and Darksaber, which was at least fun. Good, okay. So on this channel under your name, we'll we'll be sure to check that out. BioWare, thank you. Thank you, thank you. The recent expansion, the Star Wars: The Old Republic, yeah, that looked great. Thank you, my prof. And Abysmal Dragon Slayer is confirming it. I knew it was money when they first announced that they were throwing out the EU. It took a while for the ideology to show itself. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you do work directly from the source material that is the EU, you're not gonna you're not gonna well, you can have some room to squeeze in your ideology, but the thing is, they're so forward with it now. It's like there's no like it's not this protagonist is not important for what they do or what decisions they make. It's just who they are, if you know what I mean. um okay. So BioWare did KOTOR and then EA did Star Wars Old Republic. Yeah, I was thinking BioWare. Okay, so everyone's confirming BioWare. That's great. It's great. The Ewoks are fine, and most who hate on them miss the thematic point. Well, yeah, I mean, the thematic point is that these, you know, uh, stormtroopers, they're supposed to be a force. They're kind of we see that they aren't that much of a force, unfortunately. That's actually, stormtroopers, that can be a flaw in the original trilogy. The actual formidable nature of the stormtroopers just wasn't there. We just didn't have it. Now we had that compensated with figures like Darth Vader and the Emperor, but they were just yeah. But the theme is like they're supposed to be a formidable force, and then they're taken down by these villagers with a these short teddy bear villagers with a unified mind. Like we're ready to fight for our freedom here. You used to own a Burger King Ewok plush toy and a Chewy one too. Nice. Hello, Horizon Talker. Good to see you. Excuse me. All right. I guess Jacob Watt and Professor Geek are talking about Knights of the Old Republic, and I'm probably not going to read those comments because I don't know. Besides the first game, I don't know what happens. So yeah. Oh, Matt Wilkins. Okay, interesting. I don't know Matt Wilkins. I don't know his opinion on Ahsoka. He's right when saying that Ahsoka is a third wheel on Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship, and I think that's true because the bad writing that I had seen recently on these episodes I was looking at, Obi-Wan is not. It's not good. He's saying things that are like, okay, this is a play on his relationship to Anakin. Anakin's seen in Ahsoka what Obi-Wan is seeing in him, and it's like it actually that some of the writing is so bad it just doesn't work for his character. It's like it's like now I can understand like Obi-Wan taking some having some grim satisfaction seeing Anakin struggle with Ahsoka, but it's just bad. Like he can't put that first before his mission as a Jedi to get things done. It's just some of the writing is bad. There was there was let me say one other example of bad writing. So basically, if you guys watch my video on Thursday, you'll see a little bit of it, but I'll just kind of elaborate on it now. So that in the first season, this is season 1, episode 19. Ahsoka is flying out as blue leader of a squadron to this blockade or whatever the case is, out to these enemies. And then 4 enemy ships come in from hyperspace as a surprise attack. And the Admiral and Anakin Skywalker say to Ahsoka, you got to pull back. You have to retreat right now. Now, she does obey eventually, but her delay to obey the admiral in this, causes damage on 3 cruisers, totally wrecks 3 cruisers, one of those 3 completely obliterated. And she also gets her squadron killed. So she gets a lot of her men in her squadron killed because of her delayed, kind of momentary disobedience before her delayed, "Okay, I'm coming, I'm going, we're retreating," I guess. So it causes damage on 3 cruisers, one of which is completely obliterated. So you can imagine many lives are taken, and then her squadron is killed, and the enemy attacks, Anakin's cruiser, in the face of it, and the damage renders the admiral unconscious. So this girl, this child, she takes out because of her actions, a whole cruiser is obliterated and her squadron is killed and the admiral is rendered unconscious. He's totally unstable. As the robot, the medic droid says, he's not stable, or he is stable but he's unconscious. And so she did that. They would not pull out until her squadron retreated, and this 14-year-old girl, it's like, "Well, no, we got them. You're overreacting, Admiral," and stuff like that. Okay, so lots of lives were lost because of her delayed obedience to finally retreat, but it was too late. A lot of damage was done. Well, fast forward a few minutes later, Anakin's consulting and confirming all of this information to Mace Windu and Obi-Wan. And I'm not kidding. I'm not remembering it completely. And you guys just go check out the episode if you want to, if you want to. But basically, Mace Windu says, "Anakin, you lost half of your fleet. You lost half of your force. It's probably a third because it was one of 3-star cruisers or cruisers. But the line was, you lost half of your fleet. But you need Ahsoka now. You need your Padawan now more than ever." It's like, basically, it should have been worded as you lost half your fleet because of your Padawan, but now you need your Padawan more than ever. And then Anakin's like, "I know." And then Kenobi affirms this too. It's like, "You need Ahsoka now more than ever." It's like, she just made you lose a third of your fleet to death. That's the writing, man. That's the writing. Okay, I'll shut up. Anyway, so yeah. So good on Matt Wilkins for saying that about Ahsoka. I may be in the small minority in this opinion, but I really dislike the Clone Wars series as a whole. The art style was terrible, and Ahsoka was not a good character. I don't know how. I mean, I kind of like the art style as for what it was. I think, wasn't it pretty expensive? Or I'm not a visual artist, and I don't know art history. But do you think it could have been better for its budget? Um, okay, some of the faces are kind of blocky. That's kind of true. Although they got Padme's eyes right. They did get Padme's eyes right. Yes, but thank you for acknowledging that Ahsoka is not a good character. I like her design. She looks nice, especially when she gets older, but that's pretty much all I like about her. I don't like anything else. Oh, the chat jumped again. Sorry. Okay. Let's go ahead and say, Private Eye says, "I think that creators and fans don't care anymore. I mean, the new excuse is, at least it's fun." Yeah, I mean, you'll always have fans that do enjoy stuff, and I'm not harping on them. I'm not haranguing them. I'm talking about people who, especially after the Book of Boba Fett, where they say, "Man, Book of Boba Fett really made me not interested in the next thing, even Kenobi." And it's like, but some of those people are going to watch Kenobi. Actually, speaking of Kenobi, we'll get back to the chat, but if you guys, we should do some predictions. We should do some predictions on Kenobi and what the writing's going to be. Elijah Brown's here. I have arrived, and yes, there's flawed writing versus acts of destruction. Bad Batch was inspired by the Hand of Judgment. Okay. I am, and oh, it's like, oh, and that title, Hand of Judgment, lose it. There is only one hand, and that's me. I like, I'll say this because it's my channel. And I was giving my prof probably a hard time. I do like Mara Jade as a character, and I'm not saying this of this the Thrawn trilogy. I think she was fine. There were kind of moments I didn't, how she interacted with Thrawn and whatever. I do get the slightest bit of Mary Sue with someone like Mara Jade, but not so much with the Thrawn trilogy. I had a couple hard moments in the Allegiance with her. I'm not saying she's not capable. She's totally capable, but there were some things where like, no, no, no. That just she could not have gotten away with that in a real life situation. All right. Okay, so good. That's right. You're subscribed to the Prof's channel. That's how you've seen me. Good. Professor Geek says Shatterpoint after we talk about the Tales of the Jedi comics and audio drama. Good. Good. Very good. All right. So why don't we just kind of take a break here from the chat, and then we'll talk about predictions. You guys want to do some writing predictions on the Kenobi series? Let's do some writing predictions on the Kenobi series. So let's talk about the Kenobi series. I'm not gonna watch it. I have no interest, but I do want to see if I am right. There we go. I do want to see if I'm right in my predictions, and I haven't really been up to date on interviews, like who's saying what about Kenobi. I will say this though, I had heard that Ewan McGregor is co-producing the show. And you know what, guys? I might be of the minor opinion. I just do not think actors should take charge of their characters. Like if they have a show of, like, even if they have their own television show of their own character, I don't think actors, especially someone like Ewan McGregor, I'm sorry. He makes a great Obi-Wan and he will always be Obi-Wan, but as far as his understanding, the actor's understanding of the character, he doesn't know. Like not on a deep level does he know the character. He's said publicly that he never, or he hadn't watched the Clone Wars, any of the Clone Wars. And then and I get it. I get it as an actor that you don't really watch movies you're in. I can understand that, but he didn't really watch the prequels, you know? And so he's a very good actor in that he can act a character no matter what character that is, but it's like, no, like he doesn't understand the depth and personal sacrifice of this character. And he's like a co-producer or a co-writer. He's on the team as far as how things are supposed to go with his character. That's a bad sign. That right then and there. And people say, no, Deborah Chow, she did such a great job in Mandalorian. I'm not gonna bet any money in her favor either. So that's I would never have Harrison Ford talk about doing a Han Solo TV series and have him take the reins. No, he doesn't have the right. He did great Han Solo. We will never forget him as Han Solo and all the other iconic characters that he has done. But actors should not have the final say of what the characters should do. Because like acting, that's your profession. You are playing a person you are not, a person who doesn't think like you, act like you, behave like you, have the same motives as you. It's like anyway, that's my position on that. So it doesn't look good that Ewan McGregor is so involved with the Kenobi series. He can act and he can be a great Obi-Wan Kenobi, but he should not be involved in any way in the writing of this character. And then I have heard about Deborah Chow with her take. She and Kathleen Kennedy. So again, it's not just Kathleen Kennedy by herself. But Deborah Chow, is really wanting Darth Vader to be heavily evolved in Obi-Wan's series. With the perspective that well, Obi-Wan has to see that he has to realize that Anakin never died, that he didn't kill Anakin. Now, on the surface, that actually sounds pretty interesting. Like, oh wow, Obi-Wan is discovering that Anakin survived. But the thing is, he knew through the holograms and confirmation of Yoda in the Revenge of the Sith, he knew that Anakin had become Lord Vader. The viceroys, on Mustafar, they addressed him as Lord Vader. So if there is a Lord Vader roaming around the galaxy, Obi-Wan's going to be aware of it, and it doesn't actually need to be suggested in his personal story until we see him with a coming of age Luke. So Deborah Chow wants to explore his realization. It's like, well, that's just, it's a cool concept, but it's not necessary. It's, he would have found it, and what would he have done? He would have just hid himself and made sure Luke was protected. That's his whole role on Tatooine, to make sure that he does not cause trouble, does not draw attention, and commits himself to watching over Luke for like 17 years or whatever. That's it. That is Obi-Wan's role. And so this idea that Vader has to be heavily involved in this series makes me think, nah, this is not gonna be good. Okay, so some other stuff I did here. Another thing I heard regarding Obi-Wan is that, and I think this was under Ewan McGregor's direction, by the way, that Obi-Wan is supposed to be a broken man who's lost his way, who's lost his faith. It's like, okay, yeah, he's lost everything. He's lost his whole life. He's lost his cause to fight for the Republic. He's lost his best friend and brother. He's lost all his Jedi friends and teachers and mentors and colleagues, and he's lost everything. He's lost his whole life. Yeah, that could break someone, no question. No question. And then he puts himself on a desert planet. But he never lost his way. He always had purpose and hope in the boy Luke Skywalker. You could see it in the Revenge of the Sith when he passes the child, to Beru and Owen. They're looking out on the two sunsets, and he's looking out, and then he goes and travels to where he's going to reside. Come on, he always has that hope. He says, "I will look after the boy." He says that in the Revenge of the Sith. There's no way he might be broken and sad. I don't want to say broken, actually. That broken does imply despair. He just might be he might be sad and morose and dealing with, post-traumatic stress or whatever. He might be dealing with that. He might be dealing with paranoia too. He wants to be really careful, but he never loses hope. He never loses his way. And I think that's one of my predictions. Let's make it my first prediction. That is my prediction with the Obi-Wan series, is that he is a broken man who has lost his way, and he needs another external thing to instill hope in him. And it's not going to be Luke Skywalker as the boy. If it is Luke Skywalker as a 10-year-old boy, well, that's clumsy writing, because he's always had hope in this child, this Force-sensitive child. He's always had that. He's always had that. Okay, so he never lost his way there. But the TV series is going to make it where he is a broken man, and he needs an external force of inspiration to have him come to his senses, kind of like the prodigal son. It's like, oh, yes, I should train him. No, he's had that resolved since he handed the baby to Beru and Owen. So That's the first thing, is that my prediction is he's not only broken and morose, he's lost his way, which is not Obi-Wan, but they're gonna make it like that, and he will need an external source of inspiration. It's probably gonna come in the form of a woman, let's just be real. Prof is actually predicting it's gonna be Ahsoka Tano. I don't think so. Like, I don't if they have the audacity to do that, I think people are gonna lose a lot of interest in Ahsoka as a character, which would be my hope anyway, but I don't think so. I think it will be in a female character, whether it's a good person or a bad person. But or I'm gonna say female. I'm gonna say it's gonna be a female character, instilling hope in him again. But it could be anyone. But the point is, it's gonna be something outside of him coming to him. It's not gonna be something within that he has already resolved to be and to do. So, excuse me. That's the first prediction. Now, the second prediction actually does come with a bit of information. I had heard also that, and I think it was Deborah Chow who talked about this. I didn't read any of these interviews, but I had heard that Obi-Wan loses his abilities, or at least not loses, but regresses in his ability with the Force over the span of 10 years. Now, that's a problem, okay? The first thing is he is resolved to watch over Luke Skywalker, and when it's time, he will take Luke Skywalker in under his tutelage to train him. You know, even in the serious situation where Princess Leia, her ship is attacked, and Alderaan, they have to go to Alderaan, and Obi-Wan's like, "Okay, this is it. I'm gonna take this boy. I know it's going against the wishes of his uncle and stuff like that, but it's time. I've got to train this boy." He's kind of had that in his mind, to train him. So why in the world would he regress in his abilities with the Force? Like, oh, but you're not in battle anymore. You're not fighting anymore. It's like, well, one way to enhance his ability in the Force is to communicate with Qui-Gon Jinn and to learn to become a Force ghost. Okay? Like, between Luke Skywalker being 10 years old and Obi-Wan's death, that's not a ton of years. It's like 7 years, right? 6 or 7 or 8 years. And so the regression of abilities in the Force is really counteracting with not counteracting. It's conflicting. It's actually it's actually going against who Obi-Wan is anyway. Even you don't have to. I mean, at the very least, he would plateau in the Force for not fighting and using his abilities so frequently, like he did with serving the Republic. At the very least, it would plateau, but I don't think it would regress. I think he's more in tune now than ever. He'd have to be to survive in a place like Tatooine. He'd have to be in tune with the Force. He'd have to be constantly practicing his communication with Qui-Gon. Like, it's already implied. It's already said. Not even implied. It's said in The Revenge of the Sith that Yoda is going to train Obi-Wan to communicate with Qui-Gon Jinn. And then they'll go their separate ways and be Force users in their own way. Yeah, it's like he's not regressing. So that's I don't think that's a prediction. I actually think I did hear that was going to happen. So, but my prediction because of that I'll say this. My prediction because of that is he will be so clumsy and so bumbling around. He's always going to be in trouble of some kind, and he's going to need saving a few times. I don't know how many times, but he's probably going to be saved. We could actually estimate or guess. He could actually be saved once per episode. That might be too much, but isn't it 6 episodes? I'm going to say he's going to be saved at least 7 times. Now, I'm not going to watch the series, but I'm sure I'll hear somewhere like how people are going to get him out of a bind and a scrap because he's lost his ability. He can't fight. He can't fight. He's become clumsy. He's become out of shape, and just this bent up, out of shape older man, suffering midlife crisis or something. That's gonna be the image of Obi-Wan. He's gonna suffer midlife crisis. That's what it's gonna look like. All right. Any other predictions? Oh, I'm just gonna say it right out as a major prediction, and I'm not the only one saying this. Now I had thought about this before. I had seen other people say it, so I'm gonna say it. Luke Skywalker is going to be saved. He's going to be rescued, whether that's covering him up so the Empire doesn't get him, or an actual rescue, like where he's in a dire situation, like a fatal, like life or death situation. And he's going to be saved, but he's not going to be saved by Obi-Wan. I have a feeling this Inquisitor lady, Reva or whatever her name. Why is it Reva? That's so close to the name Revan. That's so bad. So bad. Oh, it's bad. But I think Reva is the female Inquisitor that everyone keeps seeing. I think she's going to save him. And if that's true, it's pointing to a very heavily political message saying Luke Skywalker would not have survived with a female character. And I have to be blunt, a person of color. Now I know that's a little political. That's a little politically charged, but Disney has made their politics known, and it's not going to be a washed up old bent out of shape man with suffering a midlife crisis who can't be a father figure because he failed the first one. Oh yeah, Obi-Wan can't dare save Luke. It's not gonna be Obi-Wan who saves Luke. I would be very surprised if an owl, you can totally gloat over me and say, "Ha ha, you were wrong." But it's not gonna be Obi-Wan who saves Luke. It's gonna be that Inquisitor lady. She's gonna turn good. It's gonna be so obvious. The actress, I heard her say, "Oh yeah, she's ruthless." I'm like, she ain't gonna be ruthless for long. She is not gonna stay evil. There's just no way. I would love for her to stay evil, but that's not gonna happen. She's gonna save Luke Skywalker. So that's my third prediction. So what were my three predictions again? Um the first one is he's going to be a broken man needing an external source of inspiration to instill that hope in him. And it's probably gonna be a female source. The second is he's going to be clumsy and bumbling around and needing saved all the time because he has regressed in his abilities in the Force. And then he's not going to save Luke Skywalker in a life or death situation. It's going to be the female Inquisitor, Reva, if that's her name. So those are my predictions, and I'll think of other predictions along the way. But those are my main predictions. All right. All right. Now, Dr. Wyatt, I don't even know what they try to do with Power Rangers, but if they failed, that's good. A formidable force taken down by barbaric villagers is historical. Looking up Teutoburg first, the Romans were slaughtered by German tribesmen. Oh, well, that's pretty inspirational. Yeah. I think there have been historical accounts. I think Peter Jackson mentioned in the Lord of the Rings appendices this movie called Zulu, where wasn't it like an army of 300 British soldiers facing like 10,000 men of a different tribe. I'm not sure. I'd have to check that out before I mention anything. All right, Ace. We'll enjoy the rewatch tomorrow. Peace, humans. All good. Oh man, my chat. Come on. All right. But a Padawan like a Jedi would have no attachment to their troops. Yeah, I mean, are you talking about where Ahsoka gets her squadron killed, it's still irresponsible. You know, I'm gonna say this also. Um, Dave Filoni is credited for bringing out the chemistry and the personality and the depth of the clone troopers. I'm gonna say that to an extent, but the way he kills off the way clone troopers are killed off um, is they are more or less dispensable. It's such a hard thing to say, but sometimes they just die so unceremoniously. Now people say, "Well, there are a ton of them, and it's war and stuff," but it's like, on the one hand, there are some very good deaths, and some tragic deaths among them, but I've also seen them just kind of just go through the ringer. Not the ringer. I don't know why. Well, no, I'm not gonna mention that movie. Oh, so anyway, I'm kinda getting a little sleepy, so I'll go down the chat. I don't know what they did to Tarkovsky's Clone Wars. The second book of what is NJO? I don't oh, is that like New Jedi Order? Makes good use of Mara Jade as a mentor. It's the last I've read so far. No spoilers. No spoilers. Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It will be a total. It's gonna be total bait and switch. It's actually. Oh, that will be that's another prediction. Thank you, Jacob Watt. That's another prediction that I have. So prediction number 4. Kenobi is gonna be sidelined in his own show, as Boba Fett was, as the Bad Batch at one point. And this is from what I'm hearing. I haven't seen it myself, so it's. I think it would be more than just speculation. I just think that's just known. But yeah, he's gonna be sidelined in his own show, and it's gonna be about the Inquisitors, and they're gonna have more screen time. They're gonna have more screen time than Kenobi. Professor Geek says actors are usually more concerned about the kind of acting they want to do than what a character would actually do, and that is sad. Final Fantasy says, I don't even want to bother with predictions with the Kenobi show, let alone watch. But if no one at Disney or Lucasfilm cares about Star Wars, why should I? Hey, man, that's like the perfect argument ever. If Disney doesn't care about Star Wars, why should I? Oh my gosh, that's like now. Here's the thing. Here's a trend that I'm seeing with publicity and marketing too. People and I don't think it started with Kevin Smith and Masters of the Universe Revelation from last year, that abomination from last year. But it definitely has happened since him. He says, "Oh, I'm such a fan of He-Man. I'm such a fan. I am the biggest fan of He-Man, okay?" And people have started taking that on themselves. Whatever they're producing, they're like, "Oh, yeah, I am such a Star Wars fan. Like we're going to honor John Williams' legacy. We're going to honor everything regarding Luke Skywalker and the legacy of Luke Skywalker, and that the characters are so important to us." Just kind of listen for that. Like you can't really trust them anymore. You know, ever since Kevin Smith did what he did with He-Man, and then people are saying, "Oh, I'm such a fan. I'm such a fan." Like people were saying that about Rings of Power, you know, and that hasn't been aired yet, but people are saying, "Oh, I'm such a Tolkien fan. I'm such a Lord of the Rings fan." I'm like, "No, you're not. You're not." And you got to be careful about that. Like people probably said that they were Wheel of Time fans and Halo fans. Like, "Oh yeah, we love the books, not the games. We love the stories in written form." Abysmal Dragon says, "I'm guessing that female inspiration is coming from that female inquisitor that's been rumored to be the real star of the show." And it's like, okay, then if that's the case, if she's the star, and I have no problem with that, but then she needs to be the main character. That needs to be the title. That needs to be the title look. It's not about Kenobi. It's not going to be about Kenobi. I don't. Okay, so Eric Woods, welcome. Female inspiration might very well be Satine. Now, I had heard what, and I only heard from a title. I didn't even bother looking at the video that like Satine may be coming back. Which is dumb. She shouldn't come back, and Satine. I mean, if it had to be any inspiration, the memory of Satine. Okay, I would accept that, but even as important as Satine was in Obi-Wan's life, he still moved on. Like he still did what was right. So yeah. So we'll see. Maybe it'll be Vader himself. Maybe it'll be Vader himself inspiring Obi-Wan to do what is right. Hello, Jinx. Nice to see you. Welcome. I haven't seen you before. I also predict Kenobi suppress the Force so that Vader can't find him or Luke. But that shouldn't be the cause of regression, though. Like, I don't know if that's how the Force works. Like, he would definitely use less than he had serving the Republic, but I don't think he can't, there's no way he can regress if he's trying to talk to Qui-Gon Jinn and learn the ways of becoming a Force ghost. He would find a way to remain in hiding, but the thing is, he's in Tatooine. It's like, he couldn't have had a better choice to hide. And if he really, here's the argument though, like if he really gave up, if he had no hope, what in the world would he be doing on Tatooine? He would pursue some life of luxury on a different planet. Like, oh no, there'd be crowds. People would find him out. I'm like, no, that's still. He would find a better place, secluded but better. He would not be. He wouldn't trouble himself on Tatooine. It's too harsh an environment. Go Team Go says, to quote Star Wars, if you strike me down, I will become more powerful than you could possibly imagine. Yes, agreed, Gigawatt. All right, probably in about 7 or so minutes, I'll wrap things up here. Zulu, yes, the Battle of Rorke's Drift, is that how you pronounce it? A great movie with a very, very young Michael Caine. I've seen one movie. What was it called? The Italian Job with Michael Caine. It was weird. It was interesting, and I watched that in college. It's weird to see Michael Caine young. Let's just say that. Have a good night. Yeah, it's kind of I'm kind of getting sleepy myself. All right. Do. You should watch Living Anachronisms Defending Tolkien. Is it good or is it not good? I might not, waste my time on something not good. But yeah, actually, I'm good there. Just I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know that was kind of comparably shorter stream. I usually go to the full 2 hours, but kind of winded, and I probably should tear things down. But in any case, so it is Star Wars week, or Star Wars celebration this week. And so this Thursday, oh, that's another thing, guys. I should have said this actually while I was talking about Kathleen Kennedy. She's not the only problem, and you just go ahead and go and look on the panels. Just scroll down the panels and just look at the content of the Star Wars celebration panels. There is absolute agenda involved on these panels. Some of it's a lot of Star Wars, but here's the thing, guys. You got so many things on the High Republic. You've got an Ahsoka thing. You've got something cool like Ian McDermott as Emperor. That's cool. You've got so much on the Mandalorian. You've got stuff on Grogu and stuff like that. Out of the 3 or 4 days of panels, Luke Skywalker is only mentioned once, And it's not even about him. It's about how to create his prosthetic hand. Think about that. Out of the 4 days of Star Wars Celebration, we're only talking about Luke Skywalker's hand. That's it. So much High Republic, so much Mandalorian, so much this is the way, this is the thing we're doing. A lot of political stuff too, guys, if you want to take a look. A lot of political stuff in there. And then you're just talking about how to build Luke Skywalker's robotic prosthetic hand. That's his only mention. Maybe that's changed since I've seen it. But the proof is in the pudding. Kathleen Kennedy is a problem. She's been a major problem, but she's not the only problem. And the removal of her will solve nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I did want to make myself clear on that. That should have been at the start, when I was talking about it, but that's okay. That is okay. And Gigawatt sums it up just nicely. They want to forget the past. Kill it if they have to. Yeah, that was kind of like a prophecy concerning Star Wars, that line in The Last Jedi. So so the Ahsoka panel, is she the pure example of what a Jedi should be? That's actually going to be Thursday around 1. And I'm actually going to drop a video. And I don't hold back. I don't hold back on this video. It's like 10 minutes. I actually edited it down to make it faster because I was kind of rambling. So I shaved off a few minutes of it. So there's gonna be text on it. It's just gonna be me speaking with my avatar. Just talking about why people are saying the opposite of what is true. And I think that's really important to say. I don't know. Besides that video, I don't know what I'm going to have with my sound video or music video, my sound experimentation video. Might just play with SuperCollider a little bit more with violin or voice. I'm really not sure. Because into June, I had a great promo opportunity that's going to require me to make 4 promo videos. And this will be really educational music videos, but it's going to be a lot of work. So we'll see. I've also been busy sending my 2 tracks to my mastering engineer. I got 1 track done. It sounds pretty good. And yeah, it's all finished. So I'm sending him track number 2, which is bigger. And I would like to release my music at the end of the month. So I've been busy there. So we'll see what we are doing for that. So we've got our book study with the professor, our last study, our last Lord of the Rings study on his Catholic Bible Geek channel. If you wanted to post your website on that, Prof. Catholic Bible Geek channel with the Return of the King. So we're going all the way to the end, with the chapters like the Scouring of the Shire, which is awesome. It's a great chapter. We're not going to do the appendix, but he and Big Al will talk about just the kind of final climax and closure of the Return of the King. And then going forward, I think the prof has decided to just do 1 book study. So whether that's a book study on the Catholic Bible Geek channel or the Professor Geek channel, he's just going to focus on 1 book at a time, if I remember that correctly, because he uploads a lot of frequent content on his Catholic Bible Geek channel, and I think just the 2 books back to back, 1 week here, 1 week there, it just was it was a workaround. There are a lot of things to work around that. So I think it was Shatterpoint. Oh no, that was Shatterpoint was after the Tales of the Jedi, if I have that correctly. So yes, and so we've got Catholic Bible Geek with the final ending of the Return of the King. I'm listening through it, and I've read it once before when I was in my early 20s, and I remember being really surprised by the Scouring of the Shire, because I actually did watch the films before reading the books, and I really do love that Tolkien put that in, that the Shire really suffered from war, like a war-torn land, and how even people who are very comfortable in their own secluded little place, like their secluded little farms, can be overtaken and overrun by bigger bullies, and you got to stand up and defend yourself. It's actually the Hobbits retaliating is a very American thing to see. So it's a great set of chapters there, and it's all around a very happy ending, which is kind of what the opposite of Dune. By the way, I will say, even though Dune, I reacted viscerally, like, oh, I felt sad about. It's a good piece of work. It's a great piece of art, and it's objectively well written, and the stories are good. So I will say that. But I think I'll end it there. In any case, just be on the lookout for some upcoming videos. And until I see you next, keep producing, preserving, and promoting the good art that you love. And I'll catch you later. Thanks again.